Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. We got Jarrell Hendricks working the boards on the backside as well. John, we're here for our round 3 playoff preview show. At this point, all the games are big. All of them are great matchups. You know, we had a lot of teams that we know are good. And to get to this point, you got to be pretty good. But even the teams that we thought may not get to this point but have gotten here, the mojo and momentum that they have, you can't count anybody out in this round.
Yeah, you know, it's even if you didn't have a great season to this point, Lancaster, you've had some good wins in the playoffs to get you where you are now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, check us out on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show. Comes out Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, live on Facebook and YouTube. We preview the following week's games. Love to have you guys hop in, ask about your team, talk about your game, give us your thoughts. All that stuff's a lot of fun to do. We do a weekly recap show. Comes out on Sundays on our podcast platform. That's an audio-only version there. And we do our Twitter Spaces, Friday Night Spaces on Twitter /X. We basically go through the scoreboards from across the state. We have different coaches and play-by-play guys and fans and commentators pop in, give us their thoughts about the game we're at. You know, me and John and Drill can usually be at one game together, maybe 2 games, so we don't get to see the whole state. So it's great to get different insight from you guys who were at other ball games across the state. And then, as always, got a Moving the Chains merch for sale right now. We got hats. John's wearing the hoodie right now. It's super comfortable. We got white hoodies, gray hoodies, white hats, black hats. We got beanies, toboggans, gray, black, whatever you want. Some really good stuff for the cold weather. You know, it's getting to be that time of the season where you need to bundle up to go to a ball game. Got some great stuff for you. Pictures on our social media pages on Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. mtcgear.sc@gmail.com with all your questions. You could also just message us, order it that way. Love to have you guys helping us get the brand out there and support us and help us to buy better and better stuff for the show. But, John, CONA games of the week are here. Like we said earlier, could have been the whole slate. I mean, it's hard to narrow it down. But we tried to pick 5 that we thought were bigger than the rest. And let's start now with our CONA games of the week. CONA, as always, CONA.care. Find out more about their services. 3 locations here in the upstate. Let's start with a heavyweight fight. 2 undefeated squads in 4A, John. That's the Irmo Yellow Jackets at 12-0, traveling down to James Island to take on those guys who are also 12-0. The Trojans are there for Coach McCoy. This is going to be a fantastic ball game. You know, last year, James Island beat Irmo 24-22 in the playoffs on a last-second field goal. This year, both teams have just really steamrolled everyone. Haven't played a close ball game even last week. You know, James Island 45-21 over Hartsville. Irmo 55-24 over Myrtle Beach. Irmo averaging 53 on offense, 7 on defense. James Island 42 on offense, 7 on defense. I mean, this seems like an unstoppable, force versus an immovable object here, John. Who do you like between the Yellow Jackets and the Trojans on Friday?
This is tough. This is really tough. You got you got James Island team that plays really, really good defense. They've been doing it the last 2 years. You have an Irmo team with a really good quarterback at Brand. He's been around a while. Running back, Allen Hendricks.
Yep, J. Allen Hendricks.
He's having an awesome season. Really good dynamic player there for the Yellow Jackets. And Irmo, you saw them play earlier in the year. You talk about how physical they are. I expect this James Island team, if you're that good defensively, they got to be very big and physical in their own right. It's going to be an awesome game. This game is going to be down in Charleston County at
Protect
James
the island, as they like to say there.
This is awesome. This is going to be awesome. And I know this is, and I kind of cringe inside as I say this. I want to go with Irmo and this is the only reason. I think they are very, very evenly matched, but 2 very, very, obviously they're very, very good teams. We went to a game Friday in the Midlands where we thought the Low Country team was the more talented team, more athletic team. And myself, I thought Fort Dorchester was going to beat White Knoll. And that game was not competitive in the first 5 minutes. The game was over. Not that Irmo has anything to do with White Knoll other than proximity. Same with James Island, Fort Dorchester. I just think we talk about these low country teams a little bit, and we talk about the upstate and the Rock Hill, York County teams. We talk about how good they are. That that region in 5A that's supposed to be so good that lost a bunch of games last week. I'm starting to think maybe we need to give the Midlands more respect. It's not just Dutch Fork. I want to give Irmo the respect here in this game. I know they're going on the road. I think the talent they've got at quarterback and running back, I want to say that's going to make the difference. They're going to score just enough to win this game. I'll tell you what, this game, I'm not going to be surprised either way. I was very impressed with the way that James Island was able to contain Hartsville last Friday, winning that game 45-21. And it was a competitive game, and James Island just kind of pulled away late, which was impressive. We talk about the Hartsville defense, maybe not the best defense around. However, you're scoring 45 points on a really good team. And I was more impressed by that than them only giving up 21 to the Red Foxes. Hartsville is as good as anybody in this classification. I'm going to go Irmo for that really, really bad, unscientific reason.
Irmo, you mentioned the running back and quarterback. A.J. Brand last week, 8 for 10, 184 through the air, 3 touchdowns, 13 carries, $128, another touchdown. I don't think he's thrown a pick all year either, John. Just crazy stats for him. Jaden Allen Hendricks, 14 carries, 185, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Donovan Murph, 4 for 86 and a touchdown. How about this stat line? Telvin Smith, TD reception, punt return TD, kickoff return TD. I mean, when you get 3 of those, you're probably going to win the football game there. Defensively led by Isaiah McCleary, Marquell Lewis, Jaden Bryant, White in favor as well. James Island, quarterback Braxton Scott last week, didn't have to do a lot, 6 for 8, 1 touchdown. Running back Montre Scott, 13 for 94, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches for another 70. His brother, Amore Scott, 11 for 82 and 2 touchdowns. Wishy Ravenel, everybody knows him, stud receiver, also gets the ball a little bit out of some, running formations too. Defensively led by Glover, Whaley, Green, Thomas, and Jones. Also got a great kicker, Franzoni, I'm not sure how you say that there, can be an X factor certainly in a playoff game like this. Made the game winner last year, John, to win this ball game. This is a game where, I feel like you look at the common opponent, and there's not really, but Hartsville pretty much. Irmo beat them pretty handily at Hartsville, earlier in the year. We saw that game. Hartsville had some injuries, but still, it was a solid, dominating win for Irmo. Last week, James Island, gave up some touchdowns early, some long ones there, but then really, like I said, put the hammer down in the second half. I think didn't give up any points second half. Played a great brand of football there for Coach McCoy. I've been all over the place on both these teams. I feel like I've picked Irmo to win sometimes, lose sometimes. I can't get them figured out. Same thing with James Island. I really think this is like 2 teams that kind of mirror each other. Both very big, very physical. They want to run the ball. They can run the football, play strong defense as well. I think the one thing that we hadn't seen from Irmo until last week was how they do against a team that could kind of hold up and actually get some passes off, which Myrtle Beach, their offensive line, did a pretty good job giving Goodrow some time. They were able to complete a couple things here and there. I don't know if that's really what James Island wants to do. I think they're going to want to run the ball at Irmo. So I think there's 2 kind of similar style teams here. With that said, I'm going to lean James Island at home just because they're at home. I really think this is a very tight ball game both ways. I'm going to go with the Trojans to win a squeaker here down there on the island.
I like it. You think either team's going to score 30? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight to get to 30. Yeah.
I think we're going to see like a 21-14 game.
I could see it. Maybe a big special teams return from Smith, or maybe, Franzone gets a couple late kicks. Who knows?
17-14 game.
For sure. Drill, we got you back there running the board. Got some comments. Do you have any thoughts on the ball game as well? You've seen, as much football as John and I have, so feel free to hop in with your 2 cents on this.
Oh, this one's tough. I have no idea. I think it's first team to 28 wins this game. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go with John. I'm going to ride with John this one. I've gone back and forth as well. Let's go with Irmo. They've just been so dominant this year, and I think they've played more quality opponents. And so I'm just going to go with Irmo for that factor. And, no other reason. I think James Island is just as good. This is probably as evenly matched a game that we're going to see on Friday. And I think Irmo's 31-28 going to win that game.
We saw Coach Brand last week after the ball game talk about how they got 2 200-pounders with Brand and Allen Hendricks running the ball. At some point, it just starts to wear you down. And that's, and I think James Island's a team that is built to stop something like that. But after a while, that wears on anybody. But I think it's going to be a fantastic ball game. One of the best of the week for sure, and that's why it's one of our CONA games of the week. But Drill, any
Yeah, and
comments?
also-
I'm sure. Go ahead.
No, I also think too, Irmo takes care of the football. I mean, they do not turn the football over, and that's another reason there too. But getting to the comments, if I don't get to your comment, I apologize because there's so many today so far.
Bulldog says
but yeah,
great. Hey, we'll get to that ball game here in a little bit, Bulldog. That's gonna be a big one for sure. Got a lot of big Thurmond guys in here. Cam and Dion, Vossman, love it, love it. Terrence about Hampton County.
Yeah.
Those boys keep rolling. Joe says, let's go Big Gray. Appreciate you, Joseph. Varnell says, Johnsonville, the flashes are looking good right now. No grading in the peach fields. Love it, Michael. Noah says, Hillcrest Rams. They are playing great football right now. Big win last week. Dion says, Irmo by 10. Bryant says, Irmo.
Okay, all right. This makes me feel better.
Brooke says, Irmo by 7.
Okay, all right.
Dion says, Irmo by 10.
Oh.
Bossman says, Irmo by 2 TDs. I feel bad. I'm worried now. I don't know.
I think it's going to be really close.
Love it. Robert, what's going on, Robert?
Hey,
Warhorses
Robert.
are playing good football down there. Cameron says, go Gray.
Cameron, good to see you.
Deshandra says, Camden, the Bulldogs, big win last week. Maurice pulling for the Rebs.
Oh, a lot of these. We got some strong people in here as well. Yeah, let me see if I can get some more game predictions. One more here.
Irmo by 21, says Tadara. Okay. I wonder, Jarrell and John, I mean, and
I agree, Landon.
This is something that you don't want to say this way, but I wonder if the fact that James Island is still somewhat of an unknown, just, because they have not been good at football until the last couple of years, where people are just looking off tradition, which, I mean, I do that sometimes too. We look at last week, the Hartsville team with Trust's tradition, they couldn't get the job done. James Island's playing great football, so we'll certainly be a big-time ball game there. Let's look now at our second CONA game of the week here, guys. A 5A matchup, a rematch from earlier in the season. We got Summerville, the Green Wave at 12-0, traveling to Carolina Forest. The Panthers 9-3. This game was played back in week 1 at Carolina Forest. Summerville won 33-26. Summerville last week, though, they defeated Berkeley 34-14. A little bit misleading there. Henry Rivers, the quarterback for Berkeley, went out with an injury early in that ball game. Carolina Forest 20-21 over West Ashley, kind of a controversial ending in that one. Had some offensive pass interference. It was called, and kind of a weird call there. But the Green Wave averaging 46 on offense, 19 on defense. Quarterback Jaden Cummings having a big season for them. Running back Trey Green. Watching for Yannick Smith, the ECU commit. Everybody knows about him. Last week had 2 touchdowns receiving and a touchdown pass. Defensively, Rilo Mitchell, Jaden Kelly Murray, Rainer Middleton. All those guys playing great for Coach Rafferty, who's really reinvigorated that Green Wave program. On the other side for Carolina Forest, 33 on offense, 18 on defense per game. Quarterback Ethan Hamilton, a really, really good dual threat guy. I think last week crossed 1,000 yards rushing on the season. Had a touchdown pass and a touchdown run in that ball game, a 79-yarder actually in that one. Running back Khalil Johnson, 2 rusties. He's playing really good for them. They've got a good offensive line, and Coach Morris is one of the best coaches in the state. I mean, every year I feel like he has his team in this round 3 matchup, even when we think they might be down a little bit, which this year I think a lot of folks weren't talking a lot about them. They've gotten to this point. They like to run the ball. That's their identity. They're going to continue to try to do that this week, John. Do you think Summerville is up to the task to stop that running game, or do you think Carolina Forest kind of gets some revenge from that week 1 loss?
I think the story for Summerville is going to be not whether they can stop the run. I think they're going to just put up too many points for Carolina Forest to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
Summerville has been, obviously they've been, number 1 in our poll, I think the entire year.
Yeah.
They've been number 1 in the prep media poll. I think maybe the whole year outside, maybe early on when Dutch Fork might've been number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Fact is, point I'm trying to make, Summerville has been very, very consistent. They've played some pretty good competition throughout the season. Maybe not the most tested team. Carolina Forest is very, very, very good. They're certainly good enough to win this game. Nearly won the first meeting, losing this game by 7. Carolina Forest, they have 3 losses this year, and they are to Oceanside,
mm-hmm.
South Lawrence, and Summerville. Each one of those games, they lost by 1 score.
And in those games, John, they had the lead and the ball in the fourth quarter at some point and just weren't able to quite pull off the victory. So they've been right there with every team they've played.
And their big win, their biggest win this season, a 3-point victory against Sumter, very, very good win. My concern is I don't trust Carolina Forest as much as I trust Summerville. You talk about Yannick Smith. He's probably the best athlete on the field for this game. I think there's just a little bit too much weapons on the green wave side of the football for Carolina Forest to keep up. I think they're a very good team. I think you put this Carolina Forest team against just about anybody else in the lower state, and they're going to probably take care of business. But Summerville, they've been number one.
Yeah.
They got to prove it Friday night. If they slip a little bit at all, I think Carolina Forest will be all over them. But I think the Summerville team, they're real. They're real. They deserve their ranking. They deserve to be where they are. And they should win this game. They have the weapons to win this game and be the better team at the end, once the clock strikes 0. Whether they do it or not, totally different question. But I like Summerville in this game a little bit. I think they just have a little bit, just too many weapons for Carolina Forest to keep up. I think the deciding factor of this game is going to be Summerville is just going to outscore them.
Yeah, I like Carolina Forest at home. That's a and the fact they've already played this team. A lot of times, if you go up and you're facing the number one team, I mean that kind of can almost scare you a little bit, give them a little bit of a mental edge. They play Summerville. They know they can keep up with these guys, and they get them in their backyard. I think they've got a real chance with Khalil Johnson and Ethan Hamilton to kind of win this ball. I think the key for Carolina Forest is play some keep away. Get that run game going, slow it down, milk the clock, limit possessions for that high-powered offense with Green and Smith and Cummings. But I think Summerville's on a mission, man. I think they're in for a deep playoff run. I think Yannick Smith has a big game this week. I think the Green Wave win this one on the road, but I think this will be another fantastic ball game.
Yeah, I think this will be a high-scoring affair. If I expect it to be another, probably a single-digit to a 10-point ball game.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Drill, thoughts from you? And also tons of comments I'm sure you're rolling in too.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you. And it's like that. I think it's a team of destiny thing. I think Summerville, they've battled the storm all year. They've taken everybody's best shot because they have been the number one team, ranked in 5A all season, and they've answered the bell every time. I think they're going to continue to do so. Carolina Forest, I do like that. It's hard to beat a team twice. But I just think, like you said, Summerville's on a mission. I think they win this game. I think they win it, double digits. I think they win it pretty easily, to be honest. But I do want to go back to the last game. We'll look at some comments here. Richie did have a great point. I know it's long as far as like James Island is considered, but his main thesis of that was, James Island played Hartsville, at full strength. And I think that's a very good point there. But let's get into this Summerville game. A lot of Green Wave picks, though.
Love it. I mean, that is, like they've been the favorite all year long. It feels like. I mean, people are going to lean that way. And I think Carolina Forest, and it's part of the same thing with the rankings, like why we start doing our own poll and why we don't like certain polls. Because if you start out high, you're going to stay high. And Carolina Forest wasn't in the poll, to start the year. So it's hard for them to really climb up. And especially when you get a couple losses early. But even if they are the good teams, you can't really overcome it. But yeah, I see a lot of Summerville picks. Got a Trez picks Carolina Forest. I like that.
See it.
Could certainly happen there in a close ball game.
Yeah, let's see. I got two Carolina Forest upsets.
Curtis picks Carolina Forest as well. I like that. The Panthers, I'm telling you, Coach Morris is one of the best in the state. Lands Summerville by 14.
I think Carolina Forest stands a better chance, too, in a lower scoring game.
Yeah, for sure. Let's roll to the next game, guys.
Our third CONA game of the week, a big 3A matchup here, John. Clinton, the Red Devils at 10-2, traveling to Belton-Honea Path, also who are 12-0, not also 10-2. They're also 12-0. They're undefeated on the season. Last year in the playoffs, Clinton beat them 28-13. I think it was round 2 last year. The Red Devils pulled that one off. Last week, Clinton demolished a good Broome team, 38-7, averaging 41 on offense, 17 on defense for the season. Coach Fountain squad is. BHP 44-28 over Pendleton, averaging 52 on offense, 18 on defense. The key in this ball game for me, John, is the health of BHP. Last week, Marquise Henderson goes out with an injury. So does Robs. Are they back for this game? Are they not back for this game? We're not probably going to know until game time on Friday. But I think that really is what it comes down to. I think if Henderson and those guys play, I think BHP has a really good shot to win. If they don't, I think it might be Clinton's time.
I 100% agree. I think what BHP, what the third string back, what he did last week was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome to have to be forced into that situation and play as well as he played. But this Clinton team is really good. And I think even a healthy BHP team. Okay. All right.
Oh, interesting. He's back. Well, that's a game changer there.
All right. Thanks for that heads up, Landon. So, all right. With that being said, I think Clinton is pretty close to BHP in that regard, and talent wise, and how they can play. But Henderson is just, he's the next level kind of guy.
Yeah.
And as good as Clinton is, and as good as a team the Red Devils are, I think Henderson is just that good to where, and maybe we don't know, he's cleared. We don't know if he's 100% or not. Is he full speed? Is he full strength? Is he going to be able to carry, heck, he's probably averaged less than 10 carries a game.
Yeah, he had to carry it a whole lot.
Can he tote the load 20, 25 times? I don't know. If we get down to a close ball game in the fourth quarter, is he going to have enough gas in the tank? Is he going to be healthy enough to be able to maybe finish off a game-winning drive? I don't know. I'm going to say yes. That's just we're going to assume that he's great. He's 100%. And in that scenario, I like BHP in this game. I think they're going to be too hard to stop. Clinton is a team that's been very, very good, especially offensively. But, they had that hiccup against Chester a couple weeks ago where, it's low scoring 14-6 ball game. They can't afford that. They can't afford that against BHP Friday night. I like the Bears in this one. I think it's going to be close. I think it's probably going to be a 1-2 score game, but I think Henderson, especially if he's 100%, is going to be a little bit too much for the Red Devils.
BHP, like I said last week with Robs and Henderson out, third stringer Justin Lathan ran it 30 times for $177, 4 touchdowns. Quarterback Noah Thomas, he's solid, but hasn't had to do a whole lot with that running game there, of course, for them. Wide receivers Alexander and Paul, defensively led by Ja'Kerry Anderson, Xavier Burns, and Ty Kelly. Clinton, they've got a different element this year, John. Usually, they're run heavy. This year with Tyshawn Richardson, he gives them a pass element as well. But he's a dual threat. He ran for 2 touchdowns last week for those guys. Kind of more of a running back, got by committee now with some injuries. Trey Cook, DJ Clark getting it done on the ground for them. Wide receivers Zay Johnson, Caden Crawford. Crawford's a stud out wide, also playing outside linebacker for them. On defense, Brett Young's a big player for them. But the key thing here, John, we talk about best backs in the state. It's Turbo Richard, it's Trayvon Dunbar, it's Marquise Henderson, Jalen McGill, a bunch of those guys. Jalen McGill last week in that Broom offense, Clinton held them to -6 rushing yards. I mean, that is unreal. That's an unreal stat, really. When you've got a power 5 caliber back in the backfield and you end up with net negative yards for a game.
Spartanburg couldn't do that.
Clinton's doing something right. They're going to have a similar performance this week, I think, against that BHP run game. And I've wondered, and, we haven't really seen it. If you can slow down BHP, can they get it done through the air? And I think that's your key. If you're Coach Fountain and Coach Campbell, you got to figure out a way to stop that run and just see what that pass game can do for the Bears. I think Clinton's playing really good football right now. I love the quarterback. The more I've watched him, the way that he can throw it and run it gives him a totally different dimension. I think they've got a real chance to win this ball game, John, even though it's on the road. And I'm just not sold that Henderson's 100%. I'm going to go Clinton in the upset on the road here.
Do you think, and I think Clinton defense is probably better than BHP's. What do you think?
Yes, I think so.
And that could be the difference right here. Who can get a stop? And maybe it's Clinton over BHP.
Yeah.
No, you asked me last week, last Friday, I would probably pick BHP in this game pretty easily. But I can't get over that last performance that these guys put up against Jalen McGill. Like you're saying, they held Broom to negative rushing yards. I think McGill had in the teens, like 11, 12 yards. Even with Henderson, Robs, and I kind of question his health. Is he going to be at full strength in this game? Because he's going to have to be in order for them to win it. I got to go Clinton here. I think they're going to win this football game, and but I think it's going to be a tight one. I really do, and it's going to be fun to watch.
I mean, because obviously, if you're on the BHP coaching staff, you're coming out Monday or Tuesday, and you're saying that Henderson's going to play, whether he is or not. You're going to say that
for
to
sure.
make Clinton think that he is. So, what is true? What percent he's at? We don't really know. I hope he's healthy, just because you want teams to be at their full strength at this point in the season, but that should be a fantastic game. Could get done really quickly. A lot of ground game from both squads, so will be a fun one. Couple Clinton fans in here. Landon and Cam both picking Clinton. It looks like Deion says Clinton by 7. Marie says Clinton. Landon says Big Red. Bulldog Brooks says Red Devils by 14. Tress says Clinton as well. Greg says BHP can win it. All they got a good group this year. They certainly do. I think it comes down to the health really is their key this week. Patrick says BHP. Sorry, Zach. Where's
Yeah,
Zach? Is Zach in here tonight? We need Zach Stolson on his Red Devils.
I know, Zach. I feel like we should get him a mic for this game, like he should. But yeah, Zach's in here. So but yeah, he's keeping it quiet. So I think he's quietly confident, if I had to speak for him.
And I think we mentioned it on our Spaces and our recap show. Coach Fountain at Clinton going for his 100th career win this week will be a heck of a night to pick that up here in round 3. There's Zach. Appreciate you, my man. Would be like I said, a heck of a night to get 100. Going to be a great ball game over there in Anderson. Looking forward to that one. Bradley says BXP by 10. Lynn says Coach Fountain is a winner. Certainly is. Any other comments on that ball game, Jarrell, John, or even from the chat?
Let's keep rolling, guys.
It's gonna be awesome.
Okay, this fourth CONA game of the week. I don't know if anybody cares about this one.
Nah, probably not.
I haven't seen any comments like that. But we got Big Thurmond, Strom Thurmond at 10-2, traveling to Gray Collegiate. The War Eagles 13-3 after some of the forfeits and the games they picked up and whatnot. This is going to be a fantastic ball game, John. Last week, Strom Thurmond 53-20 over Keenan, averaging 37 on offense, 12 on defense. Gray Collegiate 62-14 over Chesney, averaging 44 on offense, 29 on defense. Some of those defensive numbers are a little bit inflated because of having to play teams like IMG and some other guys out of state that kind of helped get that number up there. But the playmakers for these squads, Strom Thurmond on offense, Quan Edmond, 213, 4 touchdowns last week. He's got 2,300 yards on the season, 27 touchdowns, only 1 pick. Super, super impressive there for Quan. Running back Chris Barnes, 2 touchdowns last week, and I think he had a touchdown return in the kick game as well. Braylon Staley, a touchdown. Demarius Tolan, 5 for 108, 2 touchdowns. Jay Sewell, a touchdown. The offensive line has been great all year with Yance and Hammett and Warren and Kelly and Mims playing great on that side of the ball. Gray offensively, John. Tyler Waller, Dre Dobson, kind of a two-headed monster there at the quarterback spot. Dre runs a little bit more than Waller does, but both can really get it done. 2 great running backs, B.J. Montgomery, Caleb Ford. Wide receivers, Jamarius Lockett and Zy Alford. Lockett is just, he's one of the most underrated guys in the state. I feel like he can really go and get it. Jump ball, 50-50. It's more like 70-30, 80-20 with him because he will come down with it. Offensive line by JT Sewell. They're doing a great job up front as well. We'll get into the defense in a minute here, John, but when you start some of those names there on offensive both sides of the ball, that is really impressive for some 2A squads.
It is incredibly impressive. These guys are, you talk about Stanley. No matter, or Staley, wherever he goes, he's going to be playing on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a factor. He's probably the best player on the field. There's talent littered all over this football field, especially, as you say, for a 2A game. It's not going to look like your typical 2A game from a talent perspective. Not at all.
Defensively, this is where Strom Thurmond has been really impressive. Everybody talks about Staley and Edmond and those guys, but the defense gets kind of overlooked, but they shouldn't be because they've been getting it done all year long. Up front, led by Josh Merriweather last week, 10 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 TFLs. You got linebacker Michael Blocker, really the heart and soul of the defense there, does a great job for them. Up front, Nate Stevens, H.G. Yance, Darian Simpkins. Linebackers, Cam Blacks. We mentioned Blocker already. Defensive backs, Trey Clark, Caleb Simpkins, Andrew Bird. They really shut teams down on that side of the ball. Great defensively. Rylan Cunningham is a great player for them. Michael Bulwer. Everybody recognizes the Bulwer name from around the Midlands. He's a legacy there for sure. Kane Williams, Zeb Taylor, Blake Croft, Justin Pauling. I will say what worries me for Strom Thurmond on defense, and it's just I may be overthinking this. So even in Strom Thurmond's non-region games, when they play the big guys like Midland Valley or Evans or North Augusta, none of those teams really threw the ball a lot. They wanted to run it. That's all they wanted to do. Gray Collegiate's going to try to throw a little bit with Alford and Lockett and those guys. What happens when that happens in game? Obviously, Strom Thurmond practices against some of the best in the state with Staley and Tolan and Sewell. But when it happens, live action, live bullets, it's a little bit different. So that'll be a first test for me, seeing how they stand up to that pass game early on.
Yeah, this is so tough. I think Strom Thurmond, they've got everything going for them. They've got, you talk about confidence level. You could say Gray's confidence shook a little bit because they played some big schools. A couple of them cleaned their clock. Strom Thurmond doesn't have that in their head. They've lost 2 games, but they've been very, very good all year long against everybody they played. They know they got talent. They know they're good. They're big. They're physical. They're well coached. They've got experience. They've got everything that you want. in a football team. They've got it really in a program. But you look at Gray, and Gray just, we've seen this Gray team a number of times, this program. They carry themselves in a different way. They're very professional in the way they carry themselves. You see it in how they warm up before games. You see it, just how they come off the bus. It's a little different. They have a professional, a college feel. They know they're a big time program. They belong with the big time schools. I think Gray might be the better team. I think they're tested in that they played IMG Academy. You don't get better than that.
Mm-hmm.
They played the best of the best, and they can play very, very well together as a team. They've won a championship before. They know what it takes. They're at home. It helps so they don't have to go to Strom Thurmond and play this football game. I'm not saying Strom Thurmond is not the better team, because I think they might be. But I think Gray, just from a program perspective, where they've been, how they handle their business, what they've been through this season, from who they've played, who they haven't played, I think they're going to come out and they're going to be ready to play. And I think this is going to be the last drive is going to determine the winner of this ball game. I think it's going to be that close of a ball game, but I think Gray's a little bit better. I think Gray, or not that they're a little bit better, I think Gray's just going to find a way to win this game. And we may go after this game, man, I think Strom Thurmond's a better team. But I think Gray's going to find a way to win this ball game.
One thing I didn't mention for Strom Thurmond, great kicker, Nate Nordine. He's hit game winners against Saluda last year.
Yeah.
He's going to kick it in the end zone every time, on the kickoff. So you're going to start from the 20, the touchback. He's a weapon for them. He's a guy to look out for, kind of a difference maker in this ball game. One thing I like about Strom Thurmond a lot that I when we saw them play earlier, I feel like Coach Webb does a great job with the offense. They're almost a little bit more, complex as far as the formations go and as far as the shifts go. You don't see a lot of that 2A a lot of times. He does a great job with that. And that's a different element that Gray probably has not seen a ton of this year, you would say, just because teams a lot of times in 2A don't do a ton of different stuff, it feels like. So
I think they've seen it outside the state, though.
That could be right. And I think in this ball game, if you're Coach Webb, Braylon Staley, you got a stud like that. You haven't had to really force feed him this year because you got so many other weapons. You've been the more talented team in most of your ball games. I think this is a game where you might see a heavy dose of Staley, whether it's screens, whether it's deep pass, whether it's, reverses, whatever. I think you get him the ball a lot and let your best playmaker go and make plays.
Yeah, however you can. If you hand it off to him, run him out of the Wildcat, however you can. You use some exotic formations. Put Edmond out wide and put him as the Wildcat and make Gray think, okay, well, what's going to happen here? I think there's a lot of things that Strom Thurmond can do with Staley to confuse Gray a little bit. Good luck with that because they're well coached. Same on the other side. Coach Webb has the Rebels extremely well coached. It's going to be an awesome ball game. I hope both teams play well. I hope neither team has bad penalties or bad turnovers, because at the end of this game, I want us and everyone around the state to go, okay, that team won because they're better. That team won because, boy, they just know how to win. Not, well, gosh, if there wasn't for this call, or, they didn't have that bonehead penalty or that goof, turnover, it would have gone the other way. I hope we see a game that is well played on both ends, and I think we will.
I'll tell you, John, I think, and no offense to the other teams in 2A, there's a very real chance this is the state title game.
Very much. Very much.
I mean, I like Abbeville a lot. I think they have a very good squad. I think Oceanside and Hampton County are very good. This might be. We'll see. Another guy I did forget, by the way, Juju Stevens, Shrine Bowl linebacker. He's a stud for Strom Thurmond. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know how I forgot this. I had it written down right here. I got my notes, and I read over. My bad. Sorry about that. But he's a big-time player. So everybody's, waiting, John. Who are we picking in this game?
I'm picking Gray.
So folks at home, it's funny. I had lunch with John today. He told me he's picking Strom Thurmond at lunch.
I changed my mind.
What happened in the past 7 hours, John?
I did a little bit of research, and I remember the Gray games I've been to, and I've been to a Strom Thurmond game too. I don't see Gray losing. I just don't see him losing. And it's nothing against Strom Thurmond. If they play Abbeville in the state championship or next week, I don't see him losing that game. Or the Silver Bluff, I don't see him losing. I think I think they're just on a different level.
Okay.
I know people are going to hate it. I know I'm going to get nasty grams and people are ripping up Christmas cards. That's okay. That's fine.
How could you, John? How could you pick Gray Collegiate Academy?
I know.
I'm kidding. I'm picking Gray too. I think Gray Collegiate wins this game. You know, I've been going back and forth. I've been thinking about it in the comments. It's so hard because usually in these games I go with the best player on the field, and I think obviously that's going to be Braylon Staley. But something just telling me that Gray Collegiate's going to win this game. I thought they were going to win the state championship before the year. Nothing has really changed that opinion. They've only gotten better as the season's progressed, and I think Gray Collegiate's going to win. If this game was in the Peach Fields, give me Strom Thurmond all day. But I think Gray Collegiate's going to win it in a close one.
And I'll say this, I would love to see Strom Thurmond win. I would love to see him win.
This is going to be a fantastic game, a fantastic atmosphere. I'll go ahead and tell you, Gray's new stadium, that away side is going to be filled up with Strom Thurmond fans. They're going to pack the house. They're probably going to be on the home side a little bit too. They're going to bring a big crowd down there. And Drill, you know, we talked about all year. We saw Gray week 0 against Christchurch. Super impressive. You know, and one thing that I really liked about them back then that you don't see a ton in 2A again is the size. They had some really big D linemen, especially, which you don't see a lot at lower levels. Strom Thurmond's got some big size too, man. They got some boys up front with Yance and Hammett and all those guys that can get it done. This is a really tough one for me because I've also been back and forth. But I got to say, I mean, you know, we've had our poll all year. We've had Gray Collegiate at 1. What have we seen to change our mind in the past 3 weeks?
Exactly.
You know, it wasn't the Camden game earlier in the year. Well, but
here's the thing. We've seen both of these teams. We've seen Gray Collegiate and we've seen Strom Thurmond. They have dominated both of the opponents that they have played, and we've seen them in live action. And I agree with you. We talked to a particular coach last night, and I told him the same thing. Whoever wins this game, I think, wins the state championship. I think this is the 2A state championship game. Sorry, no offense to any of the other schools, but I think these are the 2 best teams in 2A right now. Yeah,
this is going to be a lot of fun. Weapons everywhere, both sides of the ball, both teams, 2 fantastic coaches as well. Coach Holmes and Coach Webb's 2 of the best in the business, especially in 2A. I'll tell you what, guys. I mean, I think we're all 3 going to pick Gray Collegiate here, and we're going to be at the game Friday, and we're going to get yelled at, and I love it.
We're going to have to sit on the Gray side. We're going to have to wear paper bags over our heads.
Man, this is.
We're going to be on the field because there's going to be nowhere to sit. So we're going to have to watch this game from the field.
Similar to Irmo James Island, I think literally this is a toss up, which I mean at this point in the season, a lot of those games are. I'm going to go Gray in a close one. I've been high on them all year. I don't know. We're going to go with it.
Perfect, man. Well, you want to roll this clip?
Yeah. So by the way, guys, we may have something y'all might like. Strom Thurmond fans, check this out coming, probably Thursday, Drill? Let's see.
Yeah, Thursday.
We've got a great interview lineup today, a very special guest, the head coach of the Strom Thurmond Rebels, Andrew Webb. Coach, how you doing today?
Good, man. Just working.
Coach Webb is ready to roll. We had a great time talking to him last night. That'll come out Thursday night. Preview of the game. Talk about the Rebels' great season so far. Really fun to talk to him and kind of get his thoughts on everything and what are you thinking about this ball game this week. So definitely tune into that on Thursday night, probably 7 o'clock. That'll be out on our Facebook and our YouTube pages. So definitely tune in for that. We'd appreciate you guys watching that as well. Let's roll through some of these comments. I mean, I'll tell you what, guys. I mean, by the time we get on the show, I might switch my pick. I don't know. But right now, I think we're all on the same side.
I literally feel bad doing it because I love all our Strom Thurmond support. I love all our Strom Thurmond fans.
They don't love you, Jay.
Well, hey, you made the same pick I did. So
I love it. Let's look at these comments. Aaron says Gray.
Let's see, man. I've got so many. My computer is like overloaded with so many comments right now. Let me see. Trying to go back. Got Strom Thurmond by 7.
Strom Thurmond by 7. Greg says good game. Strom Thurmond by 7. Gray by 14, says Mark. Ballsman says Strom Thurmond by 2 TDs. I think it's a 1-score game. I think either way, for sure. I think it's going to be a really tight one here.
If it's a 10-point margin, I'd be shocked. Yeah, I think this is a big one here.
Cam says Big Thurmond. Rob says y'all love some Gray. They're a good football team, Robert. That's all it is, man. I mean, I don't know how to, what else to tell you. They're a good squad.
Mark,
Mark says we're going to game. Yes, I believe we are going down to that one. Should be a fun one down in the Midlands.
Got our Hampton County support. They've already
those words. Hey, Hampton
Really?
County's
I might
tough,
be.
man. The running back is a stud. The line is really good up front. We picked the bad guy. Sorry, Maurice. Go Revs. Looking forward to that one, man. We look like both of these coaches and teams a whole lot. Brian says, can't be 50-50, either Gray or Thurmond. I love it. Look forward to seeing you down there Friday, Brian. Should be a great ball game. Make sure y'all there. He wants to interview Bulldog. We got you, my man. We got you. We'll get a
Awesome,
little a feature with Bulldog Brooks on Friday.
So much fun. Yeah, y'all keep commenting. I love it. I love the energy. That's awesome. Got to support your team. But let's move on to the next game, guys.
For sure. Let's look now at our SCISA game of the week, the 1A state title game here, John. Lee Academy at 10-2 against Patrick Henry at 10-2. These teams played back in week 2. Patrick Henry won 47-21. Really a non-competitive game there. But Lee Academy's on quite a roll right now. 35-19 over Thomas Hayward last week. Blew the brakes off Curtin Hall 2 weeks ago. Averaging 36 on offense, 18 on defense. Quarterback William West, 142 on the ground, 3 touchdowns, and had a pick on defense. Running back Deshaun Haddon and Bryson Muldrow. Offensive line playing well. Defensively led by June, Muldrow, and Boyce. Head coach David Rake, and they're playing for they're playing in their 4th straight state title game as well. The Cavs are there. On the other side, Patrick Henry, 17-13 over Dorchester. 30 points on offense, 17 on defense. Only their second year back playing 11-man, actually. They were 8-man for a long time there. Quarterback Hugh Ferry set the single-season record, 25-57 through the air, and ran for 867, 28 touchdowns. Lots of skill with Johnson, Mathis, Corley, Brunson, Santana, and his twin brother, Forrest Ferry. How about this game? This first matchup, John. Hugh Ferry went 264 through the air, 143 rushing, 6 touchdowns. Twin brother Forrest Ferry, 253 receiving and 3 touchdowns to win that ball game big. Dominated the second half, 26-7. Defensive line, they've got Berg, Freeman, Keeler, and Green, Searles, Matheson, and McCrary, Johnson, Brunson, those guys. This will be a fantastic game here, John. I think looking back at that first game, I think we're looking at a lot closer ball game here, but I think Patrick Henry wins this one.
Yeah, Jarrell said it earlier. It's hard to beat the same team twice in the season. But when you put it on him like Patrick Henry did early on, I think it'll probably be a little bit closer, but I don't think it's going to flip the other way. I like Patrick Henry in this one.
Should be a fun one. Patrick Henry been through a lot of injuries. They were more run heavy early in the year, more balanced. Now they're more pass heavy, but I still think what they're doing is great. For Lee Academy, it's going to come down to can Haddon get a big game going. That's really, really what matters. Ferry, probably best quarterback Patrick in history. Certainly could be Landon. Obviously, set single season record throwing the ball. So certainly up there. Drell, any comments from you on this ball game? Any comments from the chat? I know you popped a couple up already.
I'm muted. Sorry, I'm muted. I popped up most of the comments that we've seen so far. I think Patrick Henry's going to win this game. I think they're the better team. And give me Ferry, best quarterback in school history. I haven't followed SCISA that closely, but if he's that good, then we got to ride with him, right?
You got to say, how cool is it to be able to play with your twin brother? Like throw all these yards, all these touchdowns to him. That's pretty cool there for the Ferry twins.
Yeah,
so, love seeing that. But Drell, any more comments you want to pop up? If not, we'll run some friends of the program here.
Let's go ahead and go to that break real quick.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
Okay. Looking now at the rest of the statewide schedule, John, and we said it earlier on with the CONA games of the week. Every game could have been a game of the week. Like they're all this big now. We're going to talk about all of them, of course. The 5 we did have, of course, Irmo, James Island, Summerville, Carolina Forest, Clinton, Belton-Honea Path, Strom, Thurmond, Gray Collegiate, and Lee Academy, Patrick Henry. If you guys missed us talking about those, when the show's over, you go back to the beginning and check that out. Hopefully y'all will do that and give us your thoughts. But let's start. We told our friends last week, Jarrell and John, we would go with 1A first. Let's do that. We'll go 1A up to 5A. Let's start there with 1A right now, John.
Yeah, we'll have Christchurch. We'll be hosting Blackville Hilda.
Blackville Hilda, very impressive win over Wagner Sally last week. A Wagner Sally squad that looked really good in round 1 over C.A. Johnson. To shut them out with Jaquel Holman, what Kevin Jones is doing there is a great job for Blackville Hilda. But Christchurch is just rolling, man. Deshaun Reeder, we talked about him being one of the best backs since I should have mentioned him earlier as well. He's a stud. Quarterback Tucker Hendricks has really come into his own the last several weeks. Jackson Rep, 3 touchdowns last week, I think, receiving, and a punt return touchdown. He's a stud playmaker for them. I think Christchurch wins again. I mean, with Louisville out, they're in the driver's seat in the upper state for sure.
Yeah, Christchurch is a really, really good team. Blackville Hill has been playing great. I think Christchurch is going to be too much, though. And then on the other side of the upper state bracket, you'll see Southside is going to be hosting St. Joseph's. Southside, this is a region matchup here.
Yeah, rematch.
These two, and this is not surprising that we have a region matchup. Surprising it's in this round, going off of what we saw last week, what St. Joseph's did. Boy, I thought they had the biggest win in the state last week, St. Joseph's. I'm going to go with Southside at home, though.
Yeah, Southside Christian won this game by a few scores the first time around. Big win for them. But St. Joe's, Coach Goodman's squad, what they did last week, shutting out a high-powered Louisville offense, super impressive, and then scoring, 7, which is enough in that ball game to win it. You got to score more than that to win this week, I think. I think Southside Christian's a little better football team with Coach Sonneborn there. But that's a fun region rematch for sure. But I do like the Sabres here to move on to the upper state final. Yeah,
in Southside's own right, they beat a very good Calhoun County team last week.
They did
21-7. That's a very impressive win for Southside Christian. Now flipping over to the lower state, we'll have Johnsonville doing what they do in the playoffs is continue to win. They will be taking on Lamar. Johnsonville's been doing great. I did not see them beating Lakeview last week, and they beat them up.
Wasn't even close.
Yeah.
That was a Lakeview team that was, riding high after win over Whale Branch. Goes down 35-14 to Johnsonville. Malik Shippey, we talk about him all the time. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the state. He's been a great player. I think I saw a stat where since he started playing in 2020, they've lost 1 home game, I believe, in his career. Neil Martin, the running back / linebacker, had a huge game for them last week. They're playing great football right now. Lamar, last-second field goal to beat Carver's Bay last week. I thought that game wouldn't be that close, but, came down to it in the playoffs. You never know what's going to happen, John. Zori Pierce being back at quarterback has been a big help for them. Tavian McPhail is a great running back. Tavis Dalford is a huge, huge playmaker for them out wide. I like the size of their defensive line as well. This is 2 of my favorite 1A teams, especially in lower state. But I'm going to take Lamar because they're at home. I think Coach Burris in his first year gets to that lower state title game.
I think so, too. I think Lamar had a little bit of a down game last week. I think they bounce back this week and win this one. I think Johnsonville's been great last few weeks. It's been awesome to see them get to the lower state semifinals, but I think Lamar takes this one at home. And then they will pair up against the winner of Bamberg-Earhart against Big Cross. Cross, another team, playoffs come around. They play. Yeah. They've been very good. They beat a very good Allendale Fairfax team last week. I think Bamberg-Earhart's a little bit better. I know this game's going to be on the road for Bamberg-Earhart, but I like them to win this game.
Bamberg-Earhart last week, quarterback Chanston Crosby threw for over 400 yards. When's the last time you saw out of a Bamberg-Earhart team, John? You always think big, physical, run heavy. Threw the ball all over those guys last week from East Clarendon. Big win for Coach Crosby's squad there. Cross, that's a huge win over a hot Allendale Fairfax team that had a lot of talent, coming off the big win over Latta in round 1. Cross looking really good right now. I like what they're doing, especially on defense. They're playing really solid defense, and they're going to need it this week. Like I said, Bamberg's going to give them a big test with Williams and Folk and Crosby on offense. And Cross at home is going to be a tough squad to beat for sure. But I think Bamberg, a little too much firepower. I think they go on the road and win this one. Sorry to the Cross fans out there. I've loved Cross all year long, but I think Bamberg maybe a little more talented in this game.
And I think we're going to see a pretty low-scoring game here too.
Yeah. Drill, any thoughts from you on the 1A bracket? Any comments we need to bring on the screen as well?
Yeah, we definitely got some comments here. Let me pull this up.
Corinthian likes Blackville. That would be a heck of an upset for sure. Dion says St. Joe's is winning 1A now. Hey, they're hot at the right time. They've got the best win certainly right now. They will. Landon likes the defense there. Greg says Southside by 10. Lamar by 86 per Landon. I don't think it'll be that much of a blowout. Derek, what's up, man? Yeah, Lakeview, a young squad. As I said it all, you're a young team. They're going to get better and better. They will be certainly back in that lower state final contention here in a year or two for Coach King. No doubt about it.
They're definitely back.
I got to throw. We got Tanisha taking shots at John. Love
Big
it.
Kev, let's go. Not the little John. I love it. Appreciate you, Tanisha. Big Cross playing well. Tyler says Cross for the upset. Dion says Bamberg by 7. Mark says Bamberg for the win. Ryan says Lamar wins at home. I think so too. Ryan says Bamberg by a couple TDs. Bulldog says give me Bamberg. Barnett says Johnsonville by 20.
Ooh.
Tevin says Cross winning. Keep me up says Cross is the home team. True. Both won season at this point. And we said it all before the show started. Every team now is good.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, as you guys will see with our pick'em scores later on, these games are hard to predict. I mean, if you go 50-50, you feel pretty good about it, honestly. So it could go any way here, Drew. Anything else on the 1A bracket if we look up the 2A ranks?
Let's see. Yep. Tanisha's got the 12th man out there. So
that's true. Cross has a great environment, great fan base there for the Trojans. Could certainly be a factor.
Let me see. I got Cross. I got Cross playing the state championship game, so I got to keep riding with them.
I love it.
So Cross. I think Southside wins again. Christchurch and let's see. Let's go Johnsonville over Lamar. That's going to be my pick there.
Okay.
Let's go with that one.
I like it. Looking up at the 2A ranks now.
Starting in the lower state. So Andrew Jackson, a team that, they start season off with a loss against Fairfield Central. They have responded very well. Here they are in the semifinals of the upper state, or lower state rather, playing Hampton County. It's going to be a really good game. I think Hampton County is definitely the better team in this one. I like Hampton County to win this ball game.
I think, just like last year, I don't think we saw AJ making this kind of run. But in the playoffs, they just kind of figure it out. Trey Thompson, really good running back. Zion Dobson, really good runner for Hampton County. 2 of the best in the state getting after it here in this matchup. I think Hampton County, too big up front, too physical. I think they win this game. I'll be there at home. I think they win this game at home. I like what the Hurricanes are doing for Coach Hannon in his first year there. I think they get to that lower state title game next week.
But hey, hats off to the Vols, though. This is back-to-back.
The way they turn it around, yeah.
They have been very, very good, very, very impressive. They were good all year long last year, and now they've come alive. They slammed Kingstree last week. So even if they lose Friday night, another awesome season for AJ. On the other side of the bracket, we'll have Oceanside hosting Barnwell. This Oceanside team that has really turned it on, have not given up a point yet here in their first 2 games of the playoffs. Barnwell, a big win over Marion last week. That was very, very impressive. War Horses. I think a lot of Marion people will probably say, hey, Barnwell, they really shouldn't be in this game. We were supposed to, we're the better team, but hey, you just got to be better on that night. And Barnwell certainly was. I don't know. I don't think they have enough to keep up with Oceanside on Friday night, though.
I worry about the health of the War Horses. I think last week, I believe Cam Austin, the quarterback, had a huge game, had to come out late. I think the receiver missed the ball game. I think Peoples also may have been out for a bit. Not sure what their status is there. Another program that has really turned around. They started off really slow. They've really played well down the stretch. Beat the Woodland squad to get that 2 seed. Beat Lake Marion, now knocking off Marion on the road. That's a huge win for them. Oceanside has been very impressive what they've done. We talked about them losing quarterback Edward Reidenbach, the senior, tearing his ACL in week 10. They've turned around and put up big numbers the first week. 49-0 last week over Woodland. Great win for them. Kind of rotating 3 guys at quarterback right now. Virgilio taking some time there, but he's more of kind of like an athlete guy, so he's not really a full-time QB, of course. But Coach Wilkes is doing a fantastic job with that. The Oceanside defense, we know they're going to show up. The worry from, like I said, is the Barnwell health. This game I think I saw is going to be played at Charleston County Stadium 4 or CCSD 4, whatever that is, not Johnson Haygood, actually. So different location there for that one. I like Barnwell a lot. I love what Coach Smith has done. Talk about Cam Austin. He's a guy that I've loved all year long. He's a heck of a player. I don't know if Kurt's in here or not, but he's a great quarterback there. But I think Oceanside a little too much on both sides of the ball. I think they win this game at home, but like to see what Coach Smith's doing there for Barnwell for sure.
Yeah, impressive to get to this point here. For what, probably not your standard Barnwell team through the regular season.
Yeah.
Playoffs come around, though. That's all that matters.
They're turning
up. Here they are.
Here they are in round 3.
Now, flipping over to the upper state, we talked about the big Strom Thurmond, great collegiate matchup. They will face the winner of Abbeville and Silver Bluff. Boy, if the lower part of the bracket was anybody else, this would have been the game of the weekend 2A right here. This is going to be an awesome game. Abbeville has just been consistent. And they've just been winning. Silver Bluff, a little bit up and down this year, but they have responded well when they've lost. They've come back and had an awesome victory last Friday, 22-21 victory over Fairfield Central. Very impressive win for the Bulldogs in that game. I think this is going to be a heck of a game. However, this game is in Big A, and I think Big A is going to I think they're going to be able to take this one at home. I think it's going to be a really good game. You're going to see two very physical teams. I think Abbeville probably just a little bit more talented than Silver Bluff in this ball game. They got the home crowd behind them as well. I think Abbeville finds a way to win this game.
You mentioned Silver Bluff last week. A late pick six by Jordan Boyd. They go for 2 and get it to beat Fairfield Central. Huge win for Coach Bryant's squad. And I don't know if you guys how much you followed the Silver Bluff this year. They have completely changed their offense the last year. They're going more of a wing tee wishbone now. Run heavy, which I think is very smart for them. They were having some quarterback issues earlier on in the year. I like what they're doing. That's a great strategy call because defensively, with what they've got with Boyd and Easton and Fuller and those guys, if they can if they can score 3 touchdowns, 24 points, 28 points, that defense is going to keep you in the ballgame. You got a really good chance to win. So I think it's a great strategy call. Will it be enough against Abbeville? I don't know. Those guys are playing great. Haddon's getting it done on the ground. DeMarcus Leach is being a threat, throwing in and running the ball for them. They've got too many studs. Norman, Patterson, all those guys really, really getting it on there for Coach Nichols' squad. I don't think Abbeville goes down this week. I think they win this ball game. I think it could be closer than some folks think. But I think over there at Heights Stadium, I think Abbeville too much firepower. I think they win this ball game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very close game. I don't know if it's going to come down to a 2-point conversion or not, but that's just going to be a very, very good game.
Should be a fun one. Drell, any comments from you on 2A or from the chat? I'm sure we got a few in there.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about that game, that Silver Bluff game, I think that's going to be just a hard-hitting affair. Like you said, there's stars on both sides of the field there. I like Silver Bluff a lot. I just don't think they'll be able to score enough to keep up with Abbeville. Obviously, we talked about Gray and Strom Thurmond at length. I like Hampton County. I think they win that game easily. And then Oceanside, they've kind of been the class, even with the quarterback change there due to the injury. I think Oceanside wins pretty easily over Barnwell.
I do want to go ahead and say, next year, put Barnwell on a team to watch out for too. They got a lot of young talent, a lot of guys back. I think they're going to be really, really good next year. They're really good already this year. I think next year they could be big time contenders.
We need to buy stock.
Buy stock now if you can. Put a future on Barnwell. Dion says Hampton County by 21. Hampton County by 3+, says Landon. Dion likes the Bluff. Okay.
Dion's right.
Terrence says Zion Dobson. Yeah, huge game last week for Zion. Huge game every week, it feels like, for the Mr. Football finalist. Landon and Bulldog both say Oceanside big. Ooh. So Norris says Barnwell by a touchdown. I like it. Greg says Oceanside by 14. Brian says yeah, he's a great coach. Been all over the state. Does a great job for sure. Dion says Oceanside big. Barnwell in the house. Appreciate you being in here, Zanari. Landon says A-Town by 90.
I don't know about this week.
Break the scoreboard.
I love it. Let me see. Just so many. Got a lot of Abbeville comments here as well.
As always,
they're in the house.
I love it.
They're in the house. I
mean, 14.
Defending state champs. I mean, I don't even know how many in the last 15 years. I've lost count. But I think we're in line for some very good 2A games. But let's go up to 3A, guys.
Looking at the 3A ranks, Sean, let's look at that round 3 bracket.
In the top of the bracket, we've got Daniel taking on the Chester Cyclones. Chester with the big upset last week. I mean, we can say upset, but when you win 56-24, it's probably not really fair to say upset. I mean, they took Chapman to the woodshed. Very, very impressive ball game by the Cyclones. Daniel has continued to be, they just do what Daniel does in the regular season. Their schedule is, they play who they play, right? They play who they can play. The Wren game last week played out about how I thought it would.
Yeah,
it was a 2-score game. Wren was fairly competitive, but Daniel's just better. And I think that's the same case we see this week. I think Daniel's just better than Chester. Chester might have caught lightning in the bottle a little bit last week. And when you're a good team, you can do that in the playoffs against another really good team, and you can win. I don't think they do it 2 weeks in a row. I think Daniel is just too well-rounded of a football team, defensively and offensively. Plus, it is up in, I guess we got to say Central. I always want to say Clemson, technically in Central. I like Daniel in this game. Chester, hats off to you last week. Awesome win to knock off Chapman. Daniel probably thanks you for that, and the rest of 3A in the upper state as well. But I think their run ends Friday at Daniel.
I will say Daniel Wren game was a little bit closer than I thought it was going to be. I thought Daniel would handle him by 3-4 scores, but still a win is a win at this time of year for sure. Chester, that shocked me. The way they handled Chapman, obviously, Chapman had a couple turnovers earlier. Let that game kind of get out of hand there. But I didn't think the Chester offense could score 50-plus points like they did. That really surprised me there. Coach Floyd doing a great job there with that run game especially. Yeah, Daniel undefeated at home since 2019. Great stat there, Nathan. I think they stay undefeated this week. I think with what they're doing, with Chapman and those guys on offense, they've got a few things that I think they like to clean up a little bit, play a little bit smoother football there. A lot of penalties last week. Some of that was the ref. Some of that may have been self-inflicted. I don't know there. I think the Lions win again. Chester, I don't see them scoring that many points 2 weeks in a row, even with their tough defense, their great run game. I think Daniel got a good test of stopping the run last week against Wren. Have to do it again this week against Chester. I think the Lions win. I think they win this ball game by a couple scores at home.
Yeah, I think we see a similar game this week to what we saw with Daniel Wren last week. I think it could be a 2 to 3 score game. Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, hard to win.
That was penalty. Well, that was ref inflicted more so, or Daniel inflicted. They need to clean that up. If not this week, certainly if they get to the upper state championship or further. And the winner of this game, Daniel Chester, will play the winner of Belton-Honea Path and Clinton.
Yeah, if you guys missed that one, that's one of our CONA games of the week. The beginning of the show, you can go back and watch it when we get done and get our thoughts on that big 3A matchup.
Now, on the lower state side of the bracket, Camden, with an upset of their own, went between the white walls, knocked off Dillon. Their reward, they get to host Gilbert, a very, very good Gilbert team, a Gilbert team that's been good all year long. They defeated a hot Hanahan team last week. This game is very, very interesting. Certainly not a game that I expected to see at this point in the season. I thought Dillon would be here. However, Camden played great last week. Mm-hmm. I think, boy, I don't know. I just don't know. I think if Camden can play the way they did last week, they win this game. Being at home, riding a lot more momentum. What worries me about Gilbert is their defense. Mm-hmm. I think Camden doesn't have the most high-powered offense, but they can score against anybody. And I know that sounds weird to say. Camden's not necessarily going to score 50 points on you, but they put up 35 on a really, really good Dillon team, a really good defensively Dillon team. And I don't know. I think if they can do that against Dillon, they can certainly do it against Gilbert. And I don't know that Gilbert is going to be able to – I don't trust the Gilbert defense as much as I trust the Camden defense. And I think Camden has enough playmakers on that side of the ball with Grayson White and John Mayrant to get it done, especially being at home. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere. It's going to be a really, really good ball game. I'm going to go with Camden being at home.
Gilbert has kind of added some explosiveness with Trevon Williamson, the freshman running back. He started playing some when Jalen Jay was injured. He's continued to get some carries, had 300-plus last week, John. The Indians ran for almost 500 as a team, had a huge, huge outbreak there on the ground for them. I love the quarterback, Drake Braddock. I was super impressed with him. We saw him in person. Got some good tight ends with Gooding and those guys. Crew Morse as well as an athlete and a playmaker for them. Camden on the other side, we got to talk about Grayson White. And, I know he's listed as a quarterback. That man's a football player. Yeah. Last week, 2 touchdown passes, a touchdown run, and a pick 6, played some DN. I think he played like 10 snaps, had like 4 quarterback hurries, something nuts. One of our playoff performers, a huge game from him, getting it done. Drill and I talked about it on the recap show. I love it this time of year when you see these big-time athletes who maybe didn't do it throughout the year, but now when they got to have it, they're going to play both ways. Love what he's doing there for Camden. I mean, he's been around, playing for 4 years now, been in these big games. You're not going to scare him. Running back Avery Hickman's a stud. John Mayrant's a stud. You got Wilson Nash on defense, JoJo Krim on defense. This Camden team, I think, was one of the teams that I thought had a real chance to make a run to the state championship if they could get past Dillon. They did. I think they beat Gilbert. I like this Gilbert team a lot. But this is another one, John. I think if it was at Gilbert, I go with Gilbert.
I would too.
But it's at Camden, so I'm going with Camden. Fantastic ball game. Two great coaches, Coach Leapart and Coach Rimp. I like the Bulldogs. I like what they do with Grayson White. I think he makes enough plays. I think they win this ball game.
Now, here's the problem. At the lower side of the bracket, you got Crestwood going to what they call Fort Knox. I learned that last week. That's really cool. Brooklyn Casey Stadium on Knox Abbott Drive over there in Casey. Brooklyn Casey, they continue to be, I don't know, I guess you could say Camden is got a claim to being the hottest team in 3A right now. But really, Brooklyn Casey has been last few weeks, in the regular season, winning their region over Gilbert, and then the first 2 weeks here in the playoffs, just thrashing Philip Simmons last week. Did not expect that. I think their run ends this week. I know they're at home. This Crestwood team is really, really good. This offense can really light it up. Brooklyn Casey's great. They've been playing great. I don't think they're good enough to beat Crestwood on Friday. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know that Camden or Gilbert is good enough to beat Crestwood either. This Crestwood team is for real. I like them to win this game. I think they win by 10.
This is a game, John, we said it all throughout the night that every game now is big. This is one that I mean, if we're talking about like if we had one more CONA game of the week, I probably would have gone with this one. I think this is a massive matchup here. Brooklyn Casey has been super impressive last week. Deshaun Washington, 4 touchdowns on the ground. Didn't throw a pass the second half. I don't think Brooklyn Casey did. They've got him. They got Will Young. Lots of talent on both sides of the ball. And the way they stopped that Philip Simmons offense was super impressive. A team that's averaging 40-plus to hold them to 14 last week. Really, really good job by the Bearcats. Coach Sharpie is doing a fantastic job with that program. You mentioned Crestwood, John. 44-0 last week from Buford. I mean, that scored half. So I think they probably took, called the dogs off second half there. Javion Martin is unbelievable. One of the better quarterbacks in the state. Dual threat guy. Azarian Yates, Seneca Moore, all those guys can really get it done for them. Tons of playmakers for Coach Nelson's squad. Talk about the offense. Look at what the defense is doing. I mean, shutting out a solid Buford team. That's really impressive.
They haven't given up a point in the playoffs either.
They played really good football all season long. Their one loss was to Gray Collegiate, 2-pointer early in the year. They've beaten Sumter. They've beaten Camden. Anybody gets in front of them, they win that ball game. I think this game, too much Javion Martin. I think that's the key. Even though you're playing at Brooklyn Casey, tough environment. We saw it firsthand last week, John. I think when you got a playmaker about Javion Martin in the playoffs especially, I think you win your ball game. I think the Knights win this one in a close one here. I think they get that 3A state title game or 3A lower state title game.
You think it's a one-score game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think BC is going to run the ball and really milk the clock and keep limit possessions, which is what you got to do. But I think Javion Martin won too many plays in this one.
They got to get first downs if they want to do that, though.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a hard commodity against this Crestwood team. It's going to be a really good ball game. It's going to be a really good ball game. And I think I want to make the note too, we say 34-14, BC won last week, and you think, man, they kind of, dominate. They did. This game is 24-14. We were over in Red Bank at the White Knoll game. We left at halftime to come to this game because it was 24-14 early third quarter. And then the Brooklyn Casey defense just put the clamps on and said, you're not scoring. You're not going to score anymore. That makes it easy for your offense. Keep the ball on the ground. Killed that clock. I mean, we were 15, 20 minutes away. We got there and there's 5 minutes left in the game. BC really, I think that's large credit. To me, that's more impressive than just blowing somebody out. It was a 10-point game in second half, and you pulled away and just completely halted a very good Philip Simmons team.
Yeah, Drell, thoughts on 3A bracket? Any comments from the chat as well?
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. I'm going with Chester. Let's ride the hot hand. Let's go with the upset over Daniel, just for fun, just for funsies.
That is fun.
And then I think Ryan mentioned it in here, but I had to look it up. Give me Region 6 over Region 5 for that lower state championship there. I want Camden and Crestwood. I think they knock off Gilbert and BC this week. So I like those teams. But we have a lot of comments again here. I'll try to filter a couple. We're running low on time. Let's see what we got. A lot of Daniel picks for sure. I don't know why anyone would want to pick Daniel to win in the playoffs.
Surprising.
Especially at home.
Dion likes Gilbert. I like it. BC by 10, says Dion. Gilbert with the W, says, Jay.
I would have picked Gilbert
Camden.
3 or 4 weeks ago.
Aaron says Gilbert.
Let's see. Crestwood can light it up.
Yep,
Certainly
can, Bulldog.
But yes, let's keep rolling.
Looking now at the 4A bracket, John. You want to start upper state or lower state?
Yeah, we'll go with upper state. This game is going to be, I don't know. Greenville is going to go to District 3 Stadium over in Rock Hill, play Northwestern. Greenville hadn't had the regular season. I feel like they dropped some games that didn't expect them to lose. They've got all kinds of talent on that football field. Northwestern's got more. Finley Polk, tremendous player. Turbo Richard, guy is incredible. This team, Greenville is very good. They're not going to be good enough to I don't think they're good enough to make this game very competitive. I think this game's over early second half.
This is a game that we've seen, I think, now for 3 or 4 years in a row. I think last year Greenville knocked them off. I think it was the upper state final in a close-ish ball game to move on. 2 years ago, we saw in a regular season when Northwestern was 5A, they came down to Serene Stadium and won that game there. We talk about Northwestern every week, how good they are, man. You mentioned it, Turbo Richard, Finley Polk, Burris, and Knox, and all those guys on offense, and Massey, and Gordon Miles, and Ninja Turtles on defense. I mean, studs everywhere for Coach Walford's squad. Greenville, they've got talent too, though. Mazio Bennett, Bryson Drummond, Canty, all those guys, Renfro as well, Jay Sherman for Coach Porter's squad. And I'll say this, it's going to take a legendary game from Mazio Bennett to win this ball game. Can he do it? Certainly can. A Division I Power 5 kid like him, it's an athlete, made big plays last week to get him in the field goal range to win that game over Greer. South Carolina commit. He will have to have, like I said, a legendary performance. He's going to need 3 or 4 touchdowns probably 200 plus yards rushing and receiving. He's going to need to go off. Big time performance to win this game, John. Can he do what he can? I still think Northwestern wins this game. I don't think it happens. I think the Trojans win again. I think they're the best team in the state.
Well, I think for Greenville to have any chance, they got to make some plays with defense. You've got to get some takeaways. You've got to steal some possessions away from Northwestern, because when they have the football, they're going to score a majority of the time. So if you can decrease those amount of possessions they have, that gives you, I think, your only chance at winning. Obviously, Mazio's got to have an incredible game when they have the football. You got to score pretty much every time you touch it. But I think takeaways is the name of the game for Greenville. And I'll tell you what, boy, they can do it. They've got some ball hawks on the defense side of football. They have got to play ultra aggressive defensively. I think they got to have the mentality of, hey, either we're going to pick it off, we're going to rip a fumble out, or we're going to give up a touchdown on this drive, because I think that's the only chance that they have. And nothing against Greenville. Nothing at all against Greenville. I would use this same spiel if it was almost anybody else in the state, regardless of classification. The winner of that game, they will play the winner of Westside Midland Valley. Midland Valley, an awesome story this year, obviously led by Dunbar at running back. I was more impressed with Midland Valley last week, I think, than any other game this entire year. And, when we talk about the Mustangs, it's always then followed by Dunbar or preceded by how good Travion Dunbar is, as it should be. This defense really impressed me last week, holding a very, very talented South Point team to 17, winning a very tight, competitive ball game. Defense really won this game for them. To be able to do that against a very good Stallion team, that was very, very impressive to me. From that performance last week, I like Midland Valley's defense to be able to stop or slow down Westside enough for Midland Valley to score enough to win this ball game, especially at home. That's going to be a long road trip for the Rams. I like Midland Valley to win this game at home.
We saw a lot of folks asking about this game, of course, a lot of Midland Valley fans. Appreciate you guys being in here. I thought the Mustangs would win last week, but the way they won was what was really impressive. They go down late and you get a big touchdown by Trayvon Dunbar, to win that game. The kid is unstoppable right now. This could be kind of two contrasting styles here, where Midland Valley, they want to run it some more. Westside, they've got some good running backs with Evans and Richardson and those guys, but I think they're really more pass first with
That's
Jamar
what they wanna
Boston
do.
and Josh Williams and Cutter Woods, great quarterback there. Be a fantastic ball game. I think it comes down to really who can kind of impose their will. And then the other key for me is, can Westside stay patient? Because, what Coach Chapman and the Mustangs are going to do, I think, is they're going to play a lot of kind of soft coverage, make you kind of really work the ball down the field slowly. And if you get too aggressive and you make a turnover, you get behind the chains, what if you're Westside, that can just, end the drive right there for you. I think the Midland Valley's, game plan is going to be no big plays, no easy touchdowns, make them drive the ball on us, and then can Westside stay patient, I think is the key. But, man, it's hard to bet against what Coach Chapman and Dunbar and those guys are doing right now. I'm going to go Midland Valley to win this ball game. They're at home, I think, in this one, John.
They are.
I like the Mustangs to continue to roll.
I think so, too. This is going to be a really good game. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a great game plan by Midland Valley. And I think doing that, too, if you make Westside drive the football down the field, a 6-8 play drive, you give yourself a chance for a mistake to hop on a football, to get a tip pass or have some penalties. I like Midland Valley in this game for that reason.
I will say Midland Valley has been a little susceptible against the pass at certain times this year. So you can't go at the big ones. You cannot go at the big ones. You got to make sure you keep it in front of you there. So I'm interested to see, but it should be a fun ball game down in Graniteville.
In the lower state, we've got South Florence taking on Cinderella, the Lancaster Bruins. They only win in the playoffs. There's nothing wrong with that. Great story for Lancaster. Huge win last week to knock off Lucy Beckham.
Thank you. Did call. That was a great call last week.
Not one that I expected. And they beat them up. Up.
Not competitive. Yeah, they won by a couple scores.
Very impressive. I think they score Friday, but I think that's about all we talk about. I think South Florence, they're just so well-rounded. We talk about how good Northwestern is. South Florence is very, very similar. They're very talented offensively, defensively, and maybe the best part of their football team might be their special teams. They score all three phases of the football. They're extremely well coached. Coach Marlowe there does an awesome job. I expect South Florence to win big here.
I said it to open the show where everybody at this point is a good football team. Even if a team we think that wouldn't get here, the momentum they've got right now and mojo they've got makes them a good football team. Lancaster has that in boatloads right now. They think they can beat anybody with the way they're playing. This will be a different task this week against South Florence. Coach Marlowe's doing a great job there. I love what they're doing with Cyree Livingston, kind of in the wildcat spot, or what do you want to call it, running the ball a good bit for them since Sellers got hurt earlier in the year. They've been working out a new quarterback a little bit too, and I'm interested to see how that's going to go for them. But I like that South Florence defense. I think that's the bell cow for them. I think Lancaster can hang in for a half. I think, can they win the ball game? I don't know. I'm going to take the Bruins in this one.
Yeah, I just don't think Lancaster has the defense to be able to hang in there for a full 48 minutes. And the winner of this game will face CONA Game of the Week winner between Irmo and James Island. 4A, pretty exciting slate.
For sure. Drill, any comments from you on 4A or from the chat on 4A?
If this Greenville team beats this Northwestern team, I'll eat my hat next week. So give me Northwestern.
I got to pull for Greenville now. I want to see that.
I got a lot of hats.
I will literally do it on live next week. I got Midland Valley over Westside. That's going to be an intriguing. This contrasting style is going to be an intriguing
really fun
game.
Ball game there. I think
that's going to be a lot of fun, and I think Cinderella's story comes to an end. I think South Florence are just too good, definitely on the defensive side. But we do have a lot of comments here. A lot of people, of course, believing in South Florence, and why wouldn't you?
Get on the Dunbar train. I love it, Manny.
Love a lot of Midland Valley. It's so much that my computer's starting to freeze up. But yeah, a lot of Midland Valley picks, Northwestern and South Point picks as well. So we'll go up to 5A. I think we got some Gaffney fans that are waiting on us getting there.
Probably so. Let's talk a little 5A action now, John.
We'll start in the lower state then. White Knoll just dismantled Fort Dorchester last week. They will get Sumter this week. This is going to be a good game. Two good defenses squaring up in this one. I don't trust Sumter in this ball game. I think White Knoll, what we saw from them last week, they're very physical and offensively, they're fast. I did not expect this White Knoll team to have that kind of team speed that they have. I have no explanation for that. That's just what I thought. But they are. They're fast. They're athletic. They play well together. I think both defenses are very good, but I like the White Knoll offense better than Sumter's offense. I like White Knoll on this one.
They were super impressive, Coach Pelham's squad was. I mean, they were very explosive, I felt like. The defensive line especially really got after you. Sumter, they've turned it on in the playoffs. So, playing good physical football, playing good defense as well for Coach Barnes there. 2 pretty good wins. A really good win over Ashley Ridge in round 1, a team that we thought could be a dark horse or a sleeper to make a deep run. Completely dismantled those guys. But White Knoll, man, the way they're playing right now has been really impressive. You would think if there was going to be a game where they kind of got a little bit mentally worried because they're playing a team that's been there before and they hadn't, that would have been last week against Fort D. Completely dismantled those boys. So I don't think playing Sumter is going to scare them at all. I love Landon Sharp, heck of a quarterback, really good dual threat guy there. The freshman running back Tion Fanning, Earl and Cunningham out wide, Kimball and Banks and Ayunga, those guys on defense are really getting after it. I think they win again, especially at home. I like what Coach Pelham's doing. The Timberwolves. They're a really fun football team.
A very good offensive line play too. They did a great job all around. I mean, what do you do wrong in a 57 game?
Yeah.
And then the lower state, they will get the winner of our other CONA game of the week, Summerville, Carolina Forest. Flipping over to the upper state on the lower side of the bracket, we'll see Hillcrest go to JL Man. 2 teams that maybe we didn't expect to be in this game at the beginning of the playoffs. But here they are, JL Man. Impressive win over Spartanburg last week. They played a pretty good defense, did just enough offensively to win that game. And Hillcrest, the double overtime. Was it double? No,
one overtime.
Winning that game by 3 over Burns. We got to catch that game on the radio on our way home Friday. That was awesome to listen to. I think Hillcrest is they're primed right now to knock off Burns, who was my favorite team in upper state coming into the playoffs. Hillcrest is good. If they can put it together again, I think they take a step down in who they're playing with JL Man this week, honestly. We talk about Burns. We talk about how they've been a little bit shaky in the playoffs the last few years. They certainly were that Friday. They made some crucial mistakes late in that ball game. I like Hillcrest to win this game. They've got so many playmakers. We talk about Avery McFadden every week. Sutton had a really good game. Didn't know if he was going to play or not. They got a very good defensive line. Obviously, very good special teams with McFadden. They made a crucial kick to win the game Friday. They got special teams on their side in spades. I like Hillcrest in this ball game. What do you think?
What's crazy, John, is we say all that, but then JL Man beat them like 3 weeks ago by 7, Yeah. Coach Watson's doing a great job there. That was a great win for them last week to take down Spartanburg and get a home game in the 3rd round of the playoffs. Who saw that coming for JL Man? But like you said, I think Hillcrest is playing better football right now. Sutton's back, played a really good game last week. Offensive line was super impressive. Gave him tons of time as well. And then look back what they did 2 weeks ago. Thomas Stanley, single game record rushing. Offensive line is getting it done. You mentioned Avery McFadden, Mr. Football finalist last week. Touchdown pass, touchdown catch, and touchdown run. He's been phenomenal all season long, all career long, really. Defensively, Henderson, Moses, those guys are getting after it. Love the Hillcrest defensive line as well. They are tough, tough up front, tough on the back end. Coach Swigert had done a phenomenal job here. I mean, to go on the road, Nixon Field, tough place to win. They're down 14 in the second half, John, to come back, tie that ball game, win it in overtime. Really, really impressive there in that ball game. I think Hillcrest, they win this game, get some get back, as the kids are saying here. I think the Rams win this one, go on to that upper state final game.
I think so too. And the winner of that game will take on the winner of Dutch Fork Gaffney, a familiar late playoff matchup we see here. This game will be down in Irmo. We kind of saw this game coming last week. We thought Dutch Fork might be able to pull off that upset in Anderson. They were able to do that, win by 3 over Belton-Honea. Gaffney, a tight game, really, against Clover. They were able to win that game. I tell you what, and I know people aren't going to want to hear this either, I like Dutch Fork in this game. I think this defense for the Silver Foxes is legit. They stood up when they had to Friday against Belton-Honea, a game in which I felt like it was the kind of game that Belton-Honea would win in the playoffs, but I just thought Dutch Fork was a little bit better. They made one more play than Belton-Honea did to advance in this game. I think the defense for Dutch Fork is going to be the difference in this game. It's not at the reservation. That's going to help Dutch Fork a lot. I don't know that Dutch Fork has a tremendous home field advantage. However, the fact that they don't have to play in the reservation is an advantage on its own. Quarterback play, as you talked about last few weeks, has been much better for Dutch Fork. They seem to have figured it out on offense now compared to early on in the season. I think this Dutch Fork team is riding a ton of confidence right now. I like them to win this game. It's hard to say, and I'm not going to say Dutch Fork's defense is necessarily better. I'm sorry, Patrick. I'm sorry. I don't know that Dutch Fork defense is necessarily better than Gaffney's because that Gaffney front seven is really, really good. Arguably one of the best in the state. But Dutch Fork, they've got it going on. They're a different team than they were at the beginning of the season. I think they win this game at home. I think it's going to be another really close ball game. Probably another 3-point game, probably very similar to what we saw in Anderson last Friday.
Here's what worries me with Dutch Fork is last week we talked about how well they're playing offensively lately with Jacob Hamilton and Maurice Anderson and John Hunt. Last week, John Hunt had to come out of the ballgame. Not sure his status. Ethan Alfing had to come in. I think he had 100-plus on the ground and passing. Played really well. He's a guy who's seen a lot of experience earlier in the season. But you want to have John Hunt. You want to have your guy there in this big game. I don't know if he's ready or not, and I haven't really seen a status update on him if he'll be in it or not. But they're playing great football right now. Defensively, like I said, has been great all year with Tyler Jones and those guys. Gaffney, we know they've got tons of talent. With McDowell and Staten and Littlejohn and Rupp and Medley and just Putnam and Cook and all the guys can really get it done. But what worries about Gaffney, and John, is something that, we say this time of the year, you can't have turnovers, you can't have penalties. That was something that earlier on in the year was really plaguing Gaffney. They worked on getting that better, and this is not a game where you can stand to have that. It's another one similar to some other games where I think it's who's playing at home has an advantage in this. I don't know. If John Hunt doesn't play, I think Gaffney can win this game. He didn't play at all last week. Okay, Aaron. Oh, okay. I don't know. Is he back this week? I have not seen his status. I don't know. If he's out for the full game, I think Gaffney wins. But if he plays, I think the Silver Foxes can pull it out. But going to be a great game. Two of the better 5A teams in history in South Carolina, Gaffney and Dutch Fork program-wise for sure. Tom Knotts, you said, Jeffrey, he's got it figured out. He's got those guys rolling right now. Great win last week on the road. This week they're back at home. Should be a phenomenal football game. When those two get together, it always is, it feels like.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fourth quarter game right down at the end. Nail-biter either way.
Yeah. Drill, any comments or from this chat and anything, thoughts from you here on 5A?
Yeah, let me unmute myself and we'll do that. I'll join the fray. Give me Dutch Fork over Gaffney. Sorry, Chris, Leonard.
No, and I think
Patrick.
Like I think we hinted on it. Obviously, it's not necessarily that Dutch Fork has a great home field advantage. It's just they don't have to go to the reservation. That's really what it's about. It's not that the Silver Fox fans are like crazy and raucous. It's about that you don't have to go to Gaffney. I think is the big point there. But a great 5A game on the docket for sure.
For sure. Let me also get White Knoll over Sumter. I think that after watching those guys dismantle Fort D last week, that's an easy pick. And then the battle in Greenville County, man, I'm just so excited about this game in general. I'm going to go again. I'm going to go Man. Man won this game already. Why are we picking Hillcrest to win it now? Let's go with the Patriots in that
How about
they have more talent, that's why.
You mentioned that, Drill. How about
I don't know who won the game. I don't know. Games aren't won on paper.
Greenville County got, two teams in the 5A left, a team in 4A left, a bunch of 1A teams. Spartanburg County, zilch. No teams in the playoffs left. Who would have seen that coming, going into the season?
Region 2 tripping over themselves right now.
It was not a good look on Friday, but Leonard and the boys are not happy with us. But just similar comments, but let's keep moving on, guys.
Perfect. Looking at the SCISA state title games. We already broke down the 1A one, John. Here in 4A, we got Hammond and Lawrence Manning. Lawrence Manning rolling right now. big win over Porter-Gaud last week. Cardinal Newman, Hammond big win over Cardinal Newman. In the earlier matchup, Hammond won 20-6, a pretty competitive game. Lawrence Manning only 2 losses on the season. Wilson Hall with a bye field goal, and then Hammond in that game there. The Swamp Cats are rolling for Coach First. Tyler June, Jackson Brunson, 3 touchdowns last week. The Burson guys on defense and offense there. Hammond, Manny Johnson, Kenson Holland getting it done for them. Tight end Michael Tyler going for their 7th straight state title, which is super impressive for Coach Wheeler's squad there. I think we've said it all year, John. Probably not the best Hammond team we've ever seen, but still, they've got a lot of talent. Can Lawrence Manning come in and kind of knock them off? Do you think it stays close? What do you see happening here in this 4A matchup?
I like Hammond in this game. I mean, what they did to Cardinal Newman last week was very, very impressive. That's a Cardinal Newman team that was really putting things together. Lawrence Manning's great, and they are incredibly tested.
Yeah.
I think this
beat Lake City earlier in the year. I mean, they've got a lot of good wins.
I think it's gonna be a tough game for Hammond. But I like Hammond in this one. I think they're just a little more talented in this game. And they're playing a really good football team. I mean, Lawrence Manning is too.
Yeah.
That's why they're here. But I like Hammond in this game.
Jason, the Swamp Cats with the upset, best QB in SCISA. Yeah, Tyler June is still playing the quarterback spot. I think just enough. He was kind of moving around earlier in the year. He's been phenomenal for them. Then Jackson Brunson with the big game last week. It'll be a fun one to watch. That game, I believe, is the Friday night matchup in 4A. And down in the 3A ranks, we got Hilton Head Christian traveling to Wilson Hall. 2 10-2 teams. Hilton Head Christian, big winner of Pinewood Prep last week. Wilson Hall, big winner of Florence Christian. Back in week 1, Wilson Hall won this game 17-10. That was before HHC really got rolling. I think they've won 10 games in a row now, starting off 0-2. Last week, 42-30 over Pinewood. Quarterback Dylan Clark, 250 through the air, 3 touchdowns, 91 on the ground, 3 touchdowns as well. 6 total touchdowns for him. Wide receivers, Zadalokin, Hope, and Arnholt. Defensively, Wilson with 12 tackles, 4 TFLs. Anderson with 16 tackles. Wilson Hall, the key for them has been getting quarterback Clark Kinney back. He went out early. We thought he was done for the year. Dislocated elbow. He's back now. They patched it up, John. They put it back in place. He's rolling for them. Had 2 rushing touchdowns last week. Galloway, Reynolds, and Van Patten also running the ball. Defensively led by Bonzer, Alexander, Gilly, and McLaurin. I think I said last week, this is probably a 3A state title game that Pinewood Hilton Head Christian game is. But now I'm not so sure. With the Wilson Hall with their quarterback back and the fact they've already beat these guys, I think the Barons have a real shot in this game.
I think so too. I'm going to go Wilson Hall as well for the sheer fact that they've already won this game.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. And I felt the same way last week too in the Pinewood Prep game. But yeah, I'm going to go with history. I'm going to go Wilson Hall does it again.
This is the 3:30 game on Saturday down at Charleston Southern in that one. Looking down to the 2A ranks, last year's champ, Williamsburg Academy, 12-0, facing 12-0 Bethesda Academy. 2 really good teams here in this one. Williamsburg, 41-6 over Beaufort last week. Bethesda, 32-6 over Northside Christian. They've been really just blowing teams out, honestly. Williamsburg, quarterback Conrad Balder, 11 for 13, 251, 4 touchdowns. Camden Moore, 18 rushes, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches, 80 yards, 2 more touchdowns. Teague Ward, also a threat on offense and defense. Strong and Scholler as well. First-year head coach Tyler Boyd trying to repeat there as the 2A state champs. Bethesda, quarterback Tristan Randall, 9 for 13, 162. Noah Jenkins on the ground, 12 for 144, 3 touchdowns. Peters and Dillon out wide. Defensively, but led by Wesley Lanigan and Keyshawn Wright. 2 teams that have not played each other, which you don't see a lot in SCISA in the same classification here, but have been blowing everybody out. Bethesda, kind of a newer school to the SCISA. I think there may actually be a boys-only type school, something like that, kind of out of that Georgia area. I think Williamsburg goes back-to-back and wins this one, but it should be a really fun 2A game. And that one is what time is that one? That one is 12 o'clock on Saturday, John.
I like Williamsburg too. They've been here. They know what they're doing. This is familiar territory for them. I like them to win this one as well. We
already broke down the 1A game. That was our SCISA game of the week. Patrick Henry and Lee Academy. Sorry, that's the beginning of the show there. Down to the 8-man ranks, we get a third matchup between these 2 teams. Jefferson Davis and Holly Hill. Jefferson Davis 11-2, Holly Hill 11-1. The first matchup, JDA won 28-22. The second matchup, Holly Hill won 36-16. JDA won a hard-fought game over Richard Wynn last week, 28-23. Paxton Wall, a touchdown pass. Nazir Void, 151 on the ground, 2 rushing touchdowns. Wall and Zorn also rushed threats. Wide receiver DB Colson Lodeholt had 9 tackles and a pick last week and a fumble recovery. I think he's one of the interception leaders in the state, I believe, John, actually. Also, Void and Fields and Payne on defense. Holly Hill, Tyree James, 12 carries, 220, 5 touchdowns. Pretty stout right there. Quarterback Ashton Souls. Yeah. Quarterback Ashton Souls, a pass and rush touchdown. Defensively led by Perkins and Rudd, Rivera, Souls, and James. I think Holly Hill's the better football team. The way they beat them pretty handily a couple weeks ago has kind of helped me lean that way. JDA is playing great football as well. Big win last week. But I think Holly Hill, I think just too much firepower. I think they win this game. And I think win another 8-man state title for the Raiders.
I think so too. Jefferson Davis, awesome team. Great for them to get here. But yeah, I like the recency of Holly Hill beating Jefferson Davis just a few weeks ago. I think they do it again. For sure. Drill, any comments from you on the SCISA ranks or from the chat before we get another shout out to our friends of the program?
Yeah, I'm just going to pick. I'll start from the bottom. Give me JDA to win. Upset there. I like that one. Okay. Williamsburg, Hilton Head Christian's just rolling right now. And then we know about 4A. Give me Hammond, right? It's an easy pick, right?
I think
you say so.
Huh? Is that
7 in a row. Hard to bet against them.
Hey, Mitchell's with me. How about that?
Hard to bet. Yeah, Mitchell said JD about 16. I like it. That would be if they beat him by that much, I'll be quite surprised.
But yeah, we'll go ahead and get some words from our sponsors and kind of try to wrap this thing up.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Drill, let's take a look at our pick'em results. Once again, I feel like I got hammered on this. Can't get them right, man. This is so tough this time of year and the way it's shaking out. But let's look at our round 2 leaders. We had 4 guys with 8, Tyler, Robert, Jameson, and Caleb. A good bit was 7, a good bit was 6. I had 6, John and Dre with 5. This time of the year, man, it's such a toss-up. Like, literally every game you feel like could go either way. But hats off to those 4. Great job. Then overall, we got a 5-way tie for the lead through 2 rounds here, John. Nathan, Jimmy, Sherman, TJH, and BH time, all with 16. A lot of folks lurking with 15 and 14 hanging around. So it could be anybody's game still. You got to remember, in the playoffs, we're not going to drop any rounds because there's only 5. So no dropped weeks. It's just we're going to play it out. See who comes out. Appreciate you guys doing that. Our pick-up brought to you by Hannah Engineering. As always, check out for all your engineering needs. They can help you all across the state. Definitely tune in and be a part of that. Each week we do a new playoff pick-em. It's a lot of fun. That's on our website right now. Doing a bit of shout out to our playoff performers brought to you by Georgia Agency. Lots of great outings from guys last week. We got our blog on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, also on our website, movingchains.com. Lists off tons of great performances. As always, guys, continue to send us those stats each and every weekend. Love to see that. Love to give these guys a shout out. Love to kind of show out, and show off who those guys are across the state that are having great performances as always. Drill, any comments in the chat we need to address before we kind of wrap for the night? Late to the show, here we got Man Hillcrest. I think we're all taking Hillcrest. Obviously Man got the win a couple weeks ago, but I think we like the Rams to win this one.
Drill's taking JL Man.
Drill's taking give me Man.
Drill? Yeah, you kept talking.
Yeah, man. Why is that surprising? Have these 2 teams played this year?
Not in the past 2 weeks.
Somebody told me won? It's hard to beat a team twice in a year.
It is, but JL Man's going to do it.
Somebody told me that.
I got to give a shout out to Ryan. I think Ryan's been rocking with us since the beginning.
Appreciate you, Ryan.
We're an hour 40 in right now, so yes.
Crestwood Knights are rolling. Appreciate being in here, man. It should be a good game for them against BC this week as well.
Oh, Avery McFadden.
That is that guy. Yeah, 3 touchdowns last week, all different ways. Mr. Football finalist. I think he's got a real chance to win it. Doing a great job there. Bradley, been a pleasure. Appreciate you guys,
Thanks,
man.
Bradley.
Can't wait to see that ball game. Should be a fun one for sure. Appreciate you guys hanging out for such a long time. I know it's been a long show, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about, man. There really is. If you guys tune in for the first time, check us out. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains. Website, movingchains.com. That's MOVINCHAINS. Podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Our weekly preview show comes out Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. We go live on Facebook and YouTube. You guys can hop in as you see, comment, let you know your thoughts. It's a lot of fun to do. We do a recap show, comes out on Sundays on our podcast platforms. our Friday night spaces on X/Twitter about 10:30, 11 on Fridays. We go live with a scoreboard show. Love to have you guys hop in. We had a lot of different people hop in last week, giving us thoughts on the games. Hopefully, we can get somebody from just about every game this week. It would be great to have in there. As always, get your merch, your MTC merch. We got hats, we got toboggans, we got hoodies like John's wearing right now. Really comfortable stuff. mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. If you have any questions, you can also look at the pictures on our Facebook and Twitter pages. All different color stuff, really good stuff. Richardson hats, whatever you want. Some good stuff. Support the boys. Get the brand out there. Hope you guys can help support us and get that stuff out there for sure. Like we teased earlier, Andrew Webb, Strom Thurmond interview coming out Thursday night. Get ready for that big Strom Thurmond Gray game. Will be a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun talking to him. Hopefully, you guys can join in and enjoy that on Thursday. John, is there anything else I'm missing that I need to promo that we've got going on here going into round 3 of the playoffs?
I don't think so.
No, that's it. We're done.
You sure, Drill? You sure you don't want to talk for another 20, 30 minutes?
We will after the show, but as far as this live show, I think we're done here.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys as always for hanging out. We got a lot of great stuff coming the next few weeks. We got a lot of great stuff coming from the state title game as well. So hopefully y'all will continue to tune in. If you ever got any suggestions, let us know. Love to hear from you guys and how we can make it better and things like that. So definitely let us know. But Moving the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. This has been our round 3 recap show. For Drill Hendricks, John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. We've had a blast tonight and look forward to talking to you guys soon.